Welcome to a Sunday conversation with The Scene. This episode is brought to you by Hummingbird Guitars, Monk's Ale House, and Kathmandu Campground in Sturgis, South Dakota. Thank you to our sponsors, and enjoy this Sunday conversation from The Scene. Welcome into another exciting episode of The Scene. I'm your host, Bubba Starts, and with me today is singer-songwriter Janice Gilbert. Janice, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I am so happy to have you. So we met in person a few weeks ago. We had the Levitt Mixer. You came up and introduced yourself, and you had already sent an email for a submission for Love Noise. But before we get into all that, why don't you tell our listeners a little bit of who is Janice Gilbert?
Okay, well, I grew up here in South Dakota and went to K-12 all the way at Miller. So if anybody knows where Miller is, kind of central, mid-central part of the state. Grew up singing and with my family, actually. All of my family sings, and we did all that sister harmony in high school, and started writing songs when I was probably about 13, 14. And then after that, I went to SDSU for a major in music education and got my first job in Arlington. Was there for 4 years. And while I was there, started writing music a little more seriously. I won this little contest at the state fair, and part of the prize there was to release a little CD single with Chad Sharp of C Sharp Productions. He was in Mitchell for a while. Now he's up in the cities. And he found out that I wrote music, and so he actually let me write with him for the CD single, which was really awesome. And after that experience, I was kind of like, maybe I could do this. And so one day I came home and I told my husband Tim, who I'd met in Arlington, I was like, we should move to Nashville. And he's always been one that's like, okay, let's go. So we visited once, and while we were down there, we're looking for an apartment. And so we moved down there to Tennessee for about 7 years. Stayed super busy trying to write and play as many places as possible. And you kind of get your little circle of people that you write with and go to gigs with. Also taught while I was down there still. And then we were getting to the point where we wanted to be around our families because we wanted to start a family. And in 2013, we moved back up here to the Sioux Falls area because we knew we wanted to be kind of in a city environment where there'd still be like an art scene. And Tim's family's from Minneapolis and mine's from Miller still. So we kind of ended up here in Sioux Falls, as we've been here for 11 years already. While I was in Tennessee, I created 3 full-length CDs, and then since I've been back, I've not been writing as much, but still writing. I did a CD single, not a CD single, sorry. I did a little EP, 5-song EP a couple of years ago that was kind of more dedicated to home and the people in my life, and then just been writing and playing a lot as much as I can. So I really like to play places where they appreciate original music so I can play my own stuff. So that's kind of the goal. I don't want to be famous. My idea of success is just having a gig where someone's actually listening to something I wrote. So, so that's kind of a nutshell of who I am, where I came from, and how we got here.
That's a big nutshell.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of history in that.
Yeah, well, there's a lot to get into. Like I said, we had briefly met, so I'm taking notes while you're talking. You're like, oh, okay, well, we're gonna have to talk about that. And okay, let's go back to the beginning then. Okay, so music has always been in the family, kind of a theme on the show here. It seems like everyone we interview, music was in the house growing up. Like it was just part of what was happening around. And then you pursue music education.
Yes, yeah.
Let's talk about that. We haven't had a lot of educators on the program. You may be the first. Let's, what was it that, at an early age you say, not only do I want to do music and perform music, but I want to teach other people and to have that. That's a different passion.
Yeah.
And especially if you're talking like early elementary music education
Yeah.
stuff, right? Like it takes a certain kind of soul to be
Right.
able to deal with, 37 second graders blowing in a recorder.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I feel like music ed wise, I've kind of done it all. I guess like I kind of forgot my dream job was when I was in high school. I just absolutely loved choir, but I was also in band too. I mean, we went to I once I got to SDSU, I was in the Pride of the Dakotas marching band, and I was also a vocal. My emphasis was vocal music education, but my first job was kindergarten through 12th grade. So you had everybody all the way up. And that was Arlington for 4 years. And then when I was in Tennessee, I was kindergarten through 6th grade. And that was it was such a culture shock because I went from Arlington, which was about 1,000 people for the whole town, to a Rutherford County, not wasn't Rutherford County, it was Murfreesboro City School that had 1,000 people in the school between the students and the staff. And so it was
Crazy, right?
culture shock. I mean, by the time I left, we had 10 sections of kindergarten and we had 2.5 music positions. And so we'd see 2.5 classes of kindergarten at the same time. So it'd be like 50 kindergartners. Yeah, it's nuts. And then when we moved back here to South Dakota, the job I took was here in T. It was a 7-12 position. And the growth around Sioux Falls so far has just been
It's
insane.
insane. It's
Yeah, so
insane.
I know. So the last 3 years I've been at the high school only. So I'm just 9-12 choir and music appreciation at the high school here in T area.
Do you
So
feel like you've graduated to that where you're like, okay, I deserve to be here now?
I don't know. I feel like there are so many different facets to each of the jobs. Like, with the elementary, your job is mainly between that 8 to 4 time, and you don't have a lot of after school commitments except for maybe like the spring and winter concert. And then with a high school job, there's a lot of extra
Extracurricular.
duty things. Yeah, I'm
Right.
gone weekends, gone a lot of nights,
Right.
and
Do
yeah.
you
So
do you find it more, I mean, I don't want to put one above the other, but do you find it
right.
more rewarding to really help, and to be able to dig into these kids and these talented young people as high schoolers and helping them with the competitions and really getting into that? I mean, not that, teaching these kids their first music and
Right.
watching
Yeah.
that joy, like they're different things. I know. I know they probably both bring the same joy. I'm in tears at every single concert I go to of my kids, right? Every
Right.
single, we're doing all the elementary kid, concerts now, and I'm up there watching them be themselves, and I'm just so darn proud of them and proud of all the kids. We live in a small town.
Right.
We live in a town of 1,000 people, right? We're in Tyndall.
Yep.
All these kids, right? And you can't help
Exactly.
but just well up. So I understand that, but not a lot of people get to experience it. I did choir and band up until ninth grade or so, got to high school, and our program, well, I mean, the town, I grew up in Lead and came there at a time right as the gold mine was closing, right? The gold mine that
Oh
was the
yeah.
entire was the entire economy, right? Was closing. So I watched the school, pretty much like cut in size by half or at least a
Right.
third. So we lost a lot of good programs and it just kind of fell apart, right, for a few years.
Hmm.
And now it's built back up, which is nice to see all the programs have recovered and things. It was just a weird time, right? So I kind of dropped out
Right.
of that, but music never left me. I started playing in my dad's, rock cover band and things, like we were the Acoustic Gypsies and doing things then. And I also started writing music around the same time, and always was just like, I like writing music and singing and performing. And so it's good to have people that can incubate that
Yes.
in those years where it's easy to get lost as a high schooler, right? It's
Yeah.
so easy to kind of lose yourself
Excuse
and
me.
to be someone who, is able to shape some of this talent that is coming out, because these are the same people that end up being our songwriters or in theater
Right.
and in all these things and keep the arts going for the most part, right? So
Yeah. And I do love at the high school level, I do love that we can make music at such a high level. Like it's I get goosebumps all the time, especially like my top group, my audition group. The level of music they can do is just so like, I don't know how to describe it other than you just kind of get lost in it, and then just so grateful you get to be a part of that music making process with them. And I also like when you talked about pouring yourself into like these kids, is there, I did have a student this year who is going to go into music education, and he was so kind to like tell me in one of his scholarship um essays that like I was a reason for that. And so that's neat to see that you are, helping that next generation do what you love to do. And so that's been really cool. I also now I'm starting to see these full circle moments where, like when I was in Arlington, I had a student by the name of Bob Wendland, and he's now working at the Pavilion, and he does a lot with DAPA and a lot with Goodnight Theater Collective, which now I'm doing shows with them. And then Coleman Peterson, who kind of has taken the same, I guess, path. He's really big into like musicals here, and he does a lot with DAPA, and now with Goodnight also. So there was like, I mean, Bob was the first 4 years of my teaching experience, and Coleman was my first 3 years here in T. So it's been weird to like have these kind of full circle moments with them, and now get to do shows with them. So that's been a lot of fun.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. What a blast to kind of, coach these kids up. And now they're, young people that are doing
Yeah.
their own thing and in the scene with you. And eventually we'll probably be running the shows that you're in, right? I mean,
Oh
like,
yeah, definitely.
you're not a director yourself, and I understand that because of your commitments with the school and all those things, it's hard for you to do a lot probably outside of that beyond just like your own performances, right?
Actually, my husband would say I probably do too much.
Yeah,
Because I
it's hard
actually am
not to do
directing.
too
I'm
much.
directing some shows with Goodnight. So I had Coleman as
Oh
one
boy.
of my casts for I think it was like Haunted Cabaret last year. So I have been able to do some directing with them, and I mostly am in their cabarets, which are really fun. And I was in a couple of their shows in the last couple seasons. Luke Tachi, who's the operation, I think he's operations, I'm not sure, he'll probably listen to this later and tell me if that was incorrect. But he writes a show every year for them, and so I was in the last two shows that he had written, which was kind of cool.
Yeah, and I'm so new to the Sioux Falls scene, right? Like I came in, and right now I'm just filling a couple of cracks in a few places, right, of the places that I know. But there is so much going on, and every time that I
There
drive
really is.
around, and you driving by, the Washington Pavilion and downtown, and there's so many arts and things happening there. The comedy world is exploding right now, it feels like, in Sioux
Mm-hmm.
Falls. We're definitely trying to tap into that. We're trying to get an urban night. Our first one will be at Club David, May 23rd. This show will probably be out after this, but every other Thursday, and I know that on the opposite Thursdays there's open mics going on at Club David, right?
Right.
For comedy open mics, Zach Dresch is running those. So there's a lot of arts going on, and there's just a ton of places, and there's some really nice big places. I mean, what's the Alliance out there on the north side of town as well, correct?
Yes, yeah.
Like,
I haven't done much with them, but yeah,
no,
I
but and that's what I'm saying is that like we're all doing so much already in the spaces we're in, and then there's more spaces above that, right? That
hmm
there's got to be openings at, right? Like we have spaces to grow into as we keep moving up and doing things too. So it's really exciting to see so much going on, and I'm just really starting to see, all the theater, and because I just not really in that world, I'm in a rock
right.
cover band mostly out in the sticks. So, and the reason that we really started the podcast is because there is no central, there's a few places, Art South Dakota and things like that, but we don't have that publication, right? That bi-weekly, or usually they'd be a weekly publication in bigger cities, but in Bend we had one when I lived out in Oregon, and obviously Portland and bigger towns, but it was the Weekly Arts, right, magazine. It was
Right.
just the
Yeah.
calendar of everything that was going on, some in-depth interviews and things like that. And we used to have Panache back in the day. I don't know if you remember that. When we first moved here, late 90s, out to the Deadwood area, and that kind of had South Dakota covered, and it was exactly what it was. Well, now we don't really have that. We have the 605 magazine. I know it's a monthly, but it's not necessarily for
Right.
just that, right? Great for
Mm-hmm.
what it does, more in-depth interviews and really cool exposés and everything that is South Dakota. I'm talking something more that's just Sioux Falls based and just our, hey, what's going on? And it doesn't necessarily have to be weekly either. I think bi-weekly is more than enough to fill up a
Oh yeah.
publication and to have it just so we have somewhere to look to go to. And then those things obviously like build award show, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they
Well,
always
and
have
what's
that. And
going on Sioux Falls is nice too. That's a
I
Facebook one that I
love
like. I
so
follow that one.
right, and that's what I'm saying is taking that and we've talked with, I'm not sure who runs it, but I've been in contact with them through our pages, and always trying to pump them up. They're on our Patreon page, even we have a link to their stuff as a partner of ours, just because it's already there, right? Like they have the calendar portion. Now how do we build the rest of it? Do we have enough writers in town, which I would assume we would, people
Oh
that could
yeah,
make
I
content,
think so.
right?
Yes.
So it's
Yeah.
just a matter of grouping this together, and why the podcast is, I hope, what becomes even more, right, is
Yeah.
we keep figuring it out, and maybe the scene has a publication, right? Like this is
Yeah,
never
that'd be
meant to
great.
be, well, and this is never meant to be mine. And I hope that's what people understand as they listen and as this thing continues to grow. It didn't grow because I was like, I want my podcast. I was like, no, we just need somewhere to talk,
Mm-hmm.
and we all have microphones and telephones in our hands, right? And most of us
Right.
have
Yeah.
studios. So my hope, Janice, is that we continue to grow the scene as a network, as a publication, as a big umbrella, right, to everything that we want to do, and that it becomes the publication and all of those things. It's just that I'm not going to be able to ever do that on my own. I can do a
Well, the
lot.
nice thing too with this community, because you kind of already mentioned it already, is with the comedy nights, like you mentioned Zach Dresch. Like as the more you dive into the Sioux Falls community, you're going to realize that the connections. I mean, it's still a small town, so
Right.
people are connected in so many different facets of the industry. Like Zach Dresch, he's going to be my drummer for the Levitt this
Right.
summer.
Right.
So and he's done like a lot of stuff, playing for shows for Good Night. So everybody's just kind of connected in different
I
ways.
love watching him run around like a chicken with the heads cut off at Four Winds. That's my favorite time of year. I think he played in
Yeah, he's
6
pretty
bands
awesome.
and emceed, and that's the first time I got to meet him was last summer. I'd followed him online and seen him on Facebook and seen him on commercials and all
Yeah,
over
he's up
social
for
media.
anything. He's so selfless. I just
Yeah.
love it. I'll be like, "Hey Zach, can you do this? Can you play for me for this?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm in." Like, and I don't even know if country's like his genre that he likes to play for, but he's always ready to kind of jump in and help
Right.
out.
And I
So
think we have a lot of that, and everybody is
yes.
friends with each other. So, the scene is just kind of spurned from that. We have our songwriter nights now at Monk's. I don't think you've even heard about it yet. So Monk's has kind of opened their doors to us for a Thursday songwriter series. So we'll be featuring you. And what I'm doing is kind of sitting up there and hosting and trading songs with the featured songwriter. So
Cool.
playing some of my music, you're playing some of your music, also kind of interviewing you a little bit. A little bit pre-show, a little, 2-3 minute, introduce yourself to everyone, and then kind of in between songs talking. So then recording it all and posting it up in podcast form the next week, right? So that
Nice.
you're
Yeah.
able to follow along and keep it going. So last week we had Alyssa Kaiser. We did one at Club David, May 9th. And then last week we were at Monk's. And I think that's just a better fit. The building is just more
Yeah.
conducive to what we're doing. And that's what's also opened the door now for our urban nights happening at Club David. We needed a late night variety show
Yeah.
focusing on, maybe you can get a little dirtier sets, right? You don't have to clean up your comedy sets now. You can bring the kind of off-topic stuff, right? Because the venue allows for that.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Club David is the place where, you know what? Hey, go off the rails. So let's embrace that and bring in some hip hop music, maybe some Latin world stuff. Maybe we can get some of these other people to come out and let's start mixing up all these other cultures, because Sioux Falls is not as white bread as it was 20 years ago. Right? It's
Right. Yeah.
a lot more diverse, and I see it every time I'm up there and going, there's not something supporting all of these cultures. Now, all of these people live here because we all have the same values, right? These people didn't move from these urban centers and these other places, and some of them from other countries, right, to
Right.
Sioux Falls.
Mm-hmm.
They moved here because they appreciate the Midwest values, right? We all
Right.
have the same values, but we come from different cultures. So let's embrace that. Let's all come together and share those cultures and share those things. And I'm just trying to provide a space for that to flourish, right? We're just trying to provide the culture, like a bacterial culture, right? For something to grow there, and just to give it
Yeah.
that space. And Club David is kind of a blank canvas right now
Right.
with it getting remodeled and things happening, that they're doing a lot more shows. They're doing a lot of different shows, and we've gotten quite a few things in there already this summer. So really happy to get a bi-weekly something brand new, right? We have open
Right.
mics, we have all these things. Okay, let's curate something. Let's make it a little more curated. Let's get the cream of the crop, right? In all of these different things to come out for one night, twice a month, right? Or 2 nights a month. And you kind of
Right.
get that, but you're feeding that with the open mics that are happening on the off weeks. And the, hey, who's popping right now? Who deserves this opportunity? Who deserves to be in the showcase this week? It's the same thing with the songwriters. How do we put the spotlight on some of our friends every single week, or every other week, and make sure everybody gets their shine in time, but to make sure also that the ones who are getting it are ready for it, right?
Right.
To
Yeah.
not just put people out there just for the sake of putting you out there. No, brother, we want to put you out there so you're killing, right? So we need to get you right. We need to cultivate that through the open mics and helping you refine it, so that when you go out for your 20-minute showcase, that you shine as bright as you can, right? That you don't
Right.
go out there and kind of stumble, or that's not what the showcase nights are about, right? It's about
Mm-hmm.
showcasing the best talent that's around with their best. Give us your best 15 minutes, right? And come out and do it, and not to do it in a gong show fashion, right? Where I don't like that energy. I'm not trying to bring that energy. I don't want to shit on anybody. It's not what we're here to do. That's why the review show is called Love Noise, because we're there to love on it. You know what I mean? I'm
Right.
not there to talk about the mix or the I don't care, man. Did you write a cool song? Awesome. Man, send me a demo version of it,
Right.
right? I don't care. you know?
Right.
And that's the great thing about what we're doing now is we do whatever we want. Nobody's telling us what to do. Nobody can tell us what to do. So it's really fun being in it now and having some great partners like Monks, like Club David. The Icon is letting us in now to do some things. So yeah, it's just wonderful to just be in the scene. And it seems like you're so well connected with not just the music, but the upper echelon of the musician side, right? The music teachers, the educators, the educated, right? Where I am very well connected with all of us kids who like dropped out of music class and picked up guitars.
I wouldn't say that. I
And picked
wouldn't
up
say that.
guitars and started garage bands, and it's just a different path to get to the same place, right?
Right,
But
yeah.
it just, we're all connected by music
I
and art,
definitely
and
I definitely did my dues though, putting my button chairs at songwriters nights, and you know what I mean. Like
well, and
I've
that's maybe
yeah.
this is a good transition. Let's talk about Nashville, because we've had a few people on the show that work in Nashville and have lived down there and done the grind. But you are not just working in music down there, being an educator, especially an elementary educator while you were down there, but also trying to make it in the songwriting community as well.
Right.
So where
Yeah.
did you kind of even start? You said you visited and then we're pretty much like, well, we're moving here.
Right. Yeah. No, I think it's pretty crazy. Like when you look back and see how kind of God leads your path. Like I met so many crazy, amazing people because that's all. It's just this large ocean of people all trying to do the same thing that you're doing. And so basically the formula that I was told was you just go to every songwriter night that you can and meet as many people as you can. It's all about networking down there. Um, and there was the Commodore, which is in the Holiday Inn Select on West End Avenue. That's Debbie Champion. She's been running the songwriter rounds there for years and years and years and years. And if anybody can train you up, it'll be her. I could set up my keyboard when I first moved down there faster than any guitar player could get on the stage because She was so scary at first, but she is the most amazing lady that you will ever meet. And so, that was her advice too. Like, you come to the shows, you put your butt in a chair, you sit there for hours, support your people that you're meeting, support the venue, buy supper. So you just, like, all the different writers' nights, you basically would try to hit those 2 or 3 times a week. And then also writing. Nashville's huge on co-writing, and so I use the NSAI resource, Nashville Songwriters Association International. They've got writing rooms there. If you're, like, kind of meeting up with somebody you don't really know, you don't really want to invite them, over to your house. So that's kind of a nice, like, space to start. So just really spending a bunch of time just listening to songs. And I mean, that's how you get better, is just like when you say you want to get better at basketball, you go play with people who are good at basketball. So it's no different than that. It's just working that muscle, the writing muscle. And
Right.
yeah.
And I want to sit on that for a minute, because I've never when I was in high school, maybe me and my buddy wrote some songs together, but never really done the songwriters rooms, the never done that, right? And I talk about it. I guess I don't poo-poo it, but my songs have always struck me, right? I've just kind of been an antenna, or something has struck me in my life, and I've been able to write about that and make a pretty good song out of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I've never really approached songwriting in the fact that, like, I need to sit down and work it like a muscle.
Right.
So
Yeah.
let's kind of dig into that, and yeah, just kind of talk about what it is to, I know some people write a song a day, or keeping
Right.
journals and writing and
Yes.
doing all of
Yeah.
these things, and did you do all of that? Was it
Oh,
all a part
yeah.
of it?
I
Okay.
feel like, yeah, I feel like when you're in an environment where, like, that's the norm, is to produce as much music as possible, like, you're gonna run out of things to say. So, like, if you got a writer's block or something, I just learned lots of different tools, like, to sit down. So that open journaling is really pretty awesome. Actually, I am one of the coordinators for the NSAI chapter here in Sioux Falls, and so we meet once a month, second Tuesday of the month, at Augustana. And we do, like, little writing exercises, and then the most of the time is spent in a song feedback session where somebody will play a song that they just wrote, and then we'll just give them feedback. Like, if something's not quite making sense, it's really like kind of analyzing the song, but giving feedback in, like, a positive, helpful manner, not just like saying, hey, your baby's ugly, that type of. You don't want that, because we don't want to discourage, we want to encourage each other. And it's been really beautiful to see collaborations come out of that meeting too. Like, we have some that are just lyricists who literally will just sit down and write out a page of lyrics, and they won't even be able to hear a melody with their lyrics. And then we have the other direction that really are really strong at melody, but their lyrics might need a little bit of work. And then you have some that just write it all. So it's just really different for everybody. And we just kind of help them with some different strategies. But yeah, sometimes since I've been back, life's pretty content, which is nice. But I write a lot about, like, my family and the way I grew up, and so a lot of my stuff's about, like, the farm where I grew up and just certain people in my life. But I don't write every day like a lot of people say you're supposed to. So I just kind of write when I feel like it now.
Do you
But
feel okay, so two things I want to get into. One, did you find it hard early on to share your music with other people and to share that process? Because you'd already been
yeah,
writing before you moved to Nashville for years. You'd already been writing. So, right, you
right.
said you started writing songs, as a teenager.
Mhm.
So, you probably have 10 years under your belt by the time you moved to
Right.
Nashville, at least.
That's the hardest part, because when I first started out and I play my songs for, like, it'd be mostly like your family or close friends, and they think everything that you write is great. So, nobody ever tells you anything different, because they're like, oh, she wrote a song, like, that's so great. And then you go to a place like Nashville, and I would tell you, the first time I ever attended a song feedback session, because there was a guy who did one just, like, once a week in this apartment. And so this group of friends that I kind of met during all these songwriter nights invited me. And I don't know if I was quite ready, because I shouldn't have played. The first lesson I learned is, don't play a song you're not willing to change. because I played a song that I had written for my dad, and he like disagreed with me on everything. And I remember getting so defensive that night. And I was like to the point where I don't like this guy. I never want to go back to that place again. And, in hindsight now, I get it. Like, not everybody is going to understand your song the way you wrote it. You know what I mean?
Well, and different
Like,
people, like different people, and especially in Nashville, because the whole thing is to feed this commercial machine. Do you
yes,
think
yeah,
there's a degradation of the music and of the song because you're trying to distill it down to a pop
right.
hit? Like,
So I do think that I believe in that a little bit, because I do think it's harder now for me to write, because that was like ingrained in me that this is how you write a song. This is the formula. But also I feel like I'm a better writer because I went through that process. So I do understand the way a song is put together to make it, more understandable or relatable to an audience. Because sometimes you get these songs that are just like, they are 6 minutes of the same melody line, kind of
yeah, it has to be
restating the
interesting.
same thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so I
Don't
did
write
I
boring
did
music.
learn a lot. Yeah, I did learn a lot, and I think that's important to know the rules so then you can break them. But I do think though that if you're writing for that formula all the time, it is really hard to get back to your true authentic self when you're writing.
Right. And I guess I'm very personal. People, because I edit my stuff, right? My songs don't come out perfect in the thing, and I'm still changing them, right? I'm constantly
Right.
editing because
Yeah.
some of my songs were 6 minutes, and some of them are 6 minutes, and the story has to be told. But some of them are
And
like,
that's
man, this
okay.
stuff,
That's
yeah,
okay.
right. I'm cutting stuff out in the show, live. I'm like,
Right.
I'm not gonna do those lines today, and see how this feels, and does it get a little more flow? And then, oh well, if I cut that out, then I don't get to hit that part, and it's like, well, you probably have to put that back in. And so I'm pretty fluid with that. But yeah, I guess it's really hard for me to respect other people's opinions too, I think.
I
I'm not
know.
gonna
I was
lie, I
like,
definitely
how do you not understand what I just said right there? That's kind of like what
right.
the first thing that comes up. But then, when you give your say, what we do is we have everybody write down their ideas on how something could be changed, and then you can take those home with you, those papers, and you can reflect on them later if you do decide, hey, maybe they were right about this, and then you can reflect and change it. But you don't have to change it. It's just a way for people to give you some honest feedback
Right.
that
Okay.
something
And
might not
what's
be tracking.
so funny about that is that I'm the first one to offer unsolicited advice, and I'm the last person to want to hear it in the moment.
Yeah.
But then we'll come back and be like, yeah, probably right. I get that a lot from my wife. Thank God for
Yeah.
Thank God for Danielle, who gives it to me in real time, and I'm getting much better at adjusting in real time and not letting my
Right.
ego get in the way. And, for me, it's not so much songwriting night right now as it is, a lot of the business decisions and being a facilitator. It's something that I've fallen into because I'm good at it. I like to facilitate songwriter nights and to
Hmm.
facilitate shows for other people and to direct, if you will, larger events. And,
Right.
it's no different, I'm sure, than directing a show is and having to deal with personalities. June
Oh
22nd is
yeah.
a pretty good encapsulation of that. We'll be doing the Solstice Shakedown at the Icon, and it's our first one, in the big room. And I immediately called on, my team, and my friend Bobby Joe Cool just did Stardust Fest out in Deadwood. And as someone who's not even really from the area, to have 300 people in attendance for an event in just its third year is pretty incredible. So inviting her out to try and help us draw some people, and yeah, just building something fun. We got tickets for less than $5 right now, right? We're
Hey, that's
literally
pretty good.
giving it
Yeah.
away, to try
Yeah.
just to get people, hey, come and see us. Please come see what we do. We're going to put on a great show for y'all. We got the Midwest Dead Coalition. This kid, Riley Chavez, he's not a kid, young man,
Oh, I
Riley
know who he is.
Chavez.
Yep.
Oh my
Hmm.
goodness. And
He's
I'm a huge,
fantastic.
but Janice, little backstory. I'm a hippie. And I grew up listening to Grateful Dead music, and he just plays it, man, just like Jerry.
Yeah, he's
Oh
fantastic.
man, I love him. So I was really glad to finally get to work together with him and his band, and they're just they're gonna jam it out. Starts and Ends is opening for them, right?
Hmm.
Like I'm just there to kind of hang out and put our name on something really fun and get some vendors out and just have a really great solstice summer night, right? And to
Hmm.
celebrate everyone, just come and be yourself, right? We're going to do vendor passes for, I think, $20 we're talking about, right? Just enough to commit you to showing up. Like, we're not trying to take your money. We don't care about your money. I think we're finding a different way to do these shows, right? And if
Right.
everybody's not greedy, as long as we're not showing up. And the thing is where, most promoters get into trouble is, well, I got to have the big name. And then you go and spend 10 grand on a big name and still the same
Right.
200
Yeah.
people show up, right? That we're going to show up anyway, whether you had a, $500 band or a $5,000 band, right? Like, so working with a local original acts, let's all bring our people out together, right? Which is building off
Hmm.
of what, Corey Church with Nice Enough Entertainment, what they do is always having a lot of local support when they bring their, national and regional touring bands through. And it's built a nice little scene in their more, punk rock and hardcore scene. And there's a lot of that going on, right? And I
Right.
think there's a lot of more mainstream country rock people that are doing original music, not just doing cover band stuff. We all have songs that we've written. Let's embrace that. Let's showcase
Right.
that. And let's start building the scene around that instead. Sioux Falls is about to blow up. I'm going to tell y'all right now, listening, Monks is going to be the spot. Okay, once all those flats downtown are done, I mean, it's right. It's the only cool
Right. Yeah.
bar right in the zone, man. I was there this weekend, and I'm so tunnel visioned on what I'm doing, right? I'm always there with the mission. And I'm finally just kind of walking around town and looking at all the buildings going up, because that area is totally different than when I was there 20 years ago, hanging out in my buddy's dorm room at USF.
Right.
It's a different town, and those flats are about to open up and be full of people. I'm sure they're all rented out already, so
Hmm.
there's 1,000 people waiting to move in there, or 500 people waiting to move in there. We're going to have a nice scene downtown. So get used to coming out and doing these things. And that's why we're so blessed to kind of get our foot in the door right now, because it's going to change so much over the next 5 years. Sioux
Right.
Falls is going to look completely different in 5 years' time. And
Hmm.
I know that people that live up there and live downtown see it, and a lot of us people on the outside who only make it up there occasionally, and then when we do, we're kind of like just going to the mall or we're going to the Denny. That's what I
Right.
realize now,
Yeah.
is that we're not really going up there and hanging out downtown and doing all of those things. So yeah, I'm really blessed to have met people like you. My relationship with the Levitt and the whole crew over there have just been so
Yeah.
wonderful to
They're
me.
fantastic.
I love them so much. I love what they are doing there all summer long. We've been so blessed to go up on that big stage the last 2 summers. We get to do it again this year and open up for
Yeah.
Armchair Boogie. You're headlining there, right?
Yeah. I know. Pinch me now.
Dude, that's so cool. I saw it come out on their announcement, and I was like, hey, that's our friend.
I know. I'm still in shock. I think Nancy reached out to me in November, and you know how hard it is to keep that secret for so long. But
Right.
I still I had all that time to process it, and it still doesn't even seem possible. So it's
No, I was
crazy.
so and well, and then they did the openers, and starts and ends even has theirs, and to see our name with the
Yes.
Levitt
Yeah.
logo, and just to see it all coming together. The scene is obviously going to be a lot bigger part of what goes on in Sioux Falls this year. We are a little too late to get into some of the bigger things that we'd like to get our name out there, because we'd like to sponsor these events, right? Like,
Hmm.
we're in brand awareness mode. So
Yeah.
everywhere that we can be, and all the things that we can sponsor, we got a great partnership with our friends Team Pluto. We're putting our logos on water bottles together with QR codes to our, to the website and to the Spotify for the show, to help grow that, donating them to local charities to help raise some money for them. I know out in Plankinton, where Josh Tipton, our Team Pluto partner, is based, he does the snack shack out there at the amateur baseball field. Well, the junior class approached him about doing a fundraiser, probably for prom or something, right? So we're going
Hmm.
to donate some cases of water to them, let them sell them for $2 a piece, pocket the money. And yeah, so we're looking for other sponsors that want to put their name on those bottles and support something really great to, come in and help us with the cost of the bottles themselves. And, yeah, getting a pallet of these things to give to these kids to help them raise some money. And at
Yeah.
the same time, we're able to market all of our businesses together, hand in hand, right?
Hmm.
So yeah, look forward to seeing a lot of free scene and Team Pluto H2O all over the area this year.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Man, Janice, this has been great.
Well, thanks. I think so too.
My head is spinning. We're going to have you back on.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Oh, this has
Thanks.
just been so wonderful. I know we got your song coming up on Love Noise on a future episode. I think it's the next one. It's
Okay.
hard to keep track of everything. They're coming so fast and furious now.
Right.
But I know it's coming out soon, so everybody will be able to listen to your song there. Any new music coming out this summer or big
Yeah,
shows?
I've been,
Obviously, what's the date for the
yeah.
Levitt?
The date for the Levitt is June 28th. So Friday night. And I'm also instructing the Levitt Jam Camp, the songwriting jam camp that week. And so we're gonna also feature some young singer-songwriters in my set, like in the middle of my set too. So that's pretty exciting.
That is
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. It'll be a lot of fun. Fun week for sure.
So cool.
And then
Yeah, go
opening
ahead.
for Dina Carter that Sunday. So
Oh
it's
my
gonna be a big
goodness.
weekend.
Yeah. Wow. Wow.
Yep.
How
Kind of a
fun.
pinch me summer, I guess.
Tell me about it. Our schedule is wild.
Yep.
We're doing the Levitt and the Icon within a week of each other.
Yep.
And getting to tour up to Minneapolis. We're going out. We're playing the Grey Goose and Pier, which is a great venue. We're playing the Custer Beacon in June on June 28th. So I won't get to catch your
Nice.
show at the Levitt, but I will be out
Shoot.
on the other side of the state, shining bright on a big stage myself. And that's a great room out there. We hope to keep connecting the dots and get more of our East River friends out west and all of
Yeah,
our West
definitely.
River. We've already been bringing guys like Devin Sance and Chris Graves out from the Black Hills. And the synergy, there's no reason that we all can't, cross pollinate and keep growing. And I know
Yep.
there's people that want to get down into Colorado and play. And then, there's people that want to come up from Kansas City and play here. Right. So
Right.
it's a wild ride right now. We're just kind of riding that wave, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty fun.
That's awesome.
Well,
Yeah.
I know we're going to be talking a lot more. Your experience as an educator, as a facilitator of songwriter nights, and doing all of those things is of great value, not just to us at the scene, but to the scene in general. All the work that you've done over the years, continuing. Obviously, we want to talk more about the was it Nashville Songwriters Association International?
Yeah.
NSAI.
NSAI.
We're gonna have to talk more about when those nights are. When was that?
It's the second Tuesday of the month.
So the next
at
one will be June
6
11th,
Yes, June 11th. We are taking July off just because, the holiday.
4th of
and-
July. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, second Tuesday of the month at 6:30 at Augustana.
Awesome. Well, I'm gonna have to come up. Do you have to be a member of the Nashville Songwriter Association to?
Well,
to
you
come to
have
the
like
event?
two meetings where you can kind of come check it out and then kind of make up a decision if you want to. But we have people who still come. Don't tell anybody.
Yeah.
So because my motto is all about collaboration and building
Yeah.
community. So I mean, people can't afford like that membership. That's really tough. But they
Right.
do suggest you come to 2 meetings, check it out, and then hopefully you'll do a
Well, and you
membership
know
with
what?
them, but-
I'm a member of an organization that's focused up here. I mean, obviously we love Nashville and the support that we can get from there, but
Right.
I'm a member of the Midwest Country Music
Yeah,
Organization.
me too. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I think that, we just got off a agenda call and a kind of vision ideation call last night with some board members. They were gracious enough to invite me. I've only been a member for like 5 minutes, right? Since February,
Right.
maybe. They appreciate my ideas. They appreciate, our connection out here in South Dakota. They want to do more. So, Janice, I think we put our heads together and we do a lot more of how we can provide more value to our songwriters locally, and maybe
Great.
be able to use, an organization's name like that who has the legitimacy already there for us to
Right.
grow
Yeah.
the organization here and to do more locally, right? Because
Yes.
and not to say that you're not getting value and things from Nashville and support from that, but it'd be a lot cooler if it was just like run by us,
Right.
And
Yep.
that's what's
Mhm.
kind of nice. And what's happening with the Midwest CMO right now is that it is, it's growing and it's in need of more, ambassadors. It's in need of more people that are willing to take some leadership stuff because it's grown already beyond the wildest dreams of the board that was, started this thing back in 2019, right?
Right.
So yeah, I think I'm gonna definitely, since you're already a member, I mean, everybody, it's run more like a chamber of commerce than like some big corporation, right?
Right.
It's
Yeah.
by members and for members. So I'm definitely gonna get you in, and we're gonna get together and talk a lot more about the future of songwriters and growing our scene here with local original art, just in general, right?
Yeah. I love that idea.
Great. Well, I'm glad to have you on board. I loved having you on the show. Really appreciate your time and appreciate you having some time for us today.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for including me.
Yeah. Well, you have yourself a great day, and we'll talk soon.
All right. Sounds great. Thanks so much.
Thank you for listening. Remember to go to patreon.com/thescenesd. Follow us on all your social media channels and make yourself part of The Scene.